Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Esoterica. We're back with another tour through the video game trap house known as Super Sega FPGA. Just a few days ago, Alejandro did a live stream on the Super Sega YouTube channel talking about the brand new Super Sega mini console that he is planning on designing, and I know what you're thinking, and it's exactly what I'm thinking, but we're going to talk about the details here because Uncle Alejandro has a new console for you. The Ron Jeremy of Spain is delivering something different, and I have absolutely no idea how this is actually going to go, but in the video he did say that he was going to send some channels a preview unit of this device, including my channel, and if there is anything that can actually run games and he sends it to me, you know I'm going to put it on the channel. And honestly, as much fun as we have on the jokes on this series, I would review the hardware exactly as I review everything else, which is to say objectively and with an open mind. Now, do I expect to receive anything? I have absolutely no idea. Do I expect what I receive to work? Also no idea whatsoever, but I am fair when fairness is due, so if I do receive something, I will tell you exactly what it is, break down the technology, go over it, and tell you exactly what it is doing. But obviously, if he was going to mail me one thing, I'd much rather have the orange Lamborghini. I'll tear that thing up and down Lakeshore Drive in Chicago any day of the week and twice on Sundays. But this is just getting deeper and deeper, and I'm never quite sure where it's going to end. But you know full well I'm going to follow it to its logical conclusion, and we're going to make some jokes along the way, because the last video I did, Alejandro was talking about redoing the entire console and doing it on a smaller chip like the Cyclone 5. Obviously that's what's powering MiSTer FPGA, and that is kind of the de facto industry leader as far as FPGA is concerned. Obviously I run tons of videos on MiSTer, and it is by far the most all-encompassing FPGA platform out there. So I guess the first question is, why would we need another device on the market that does the same thing? Honestly, I know I'm not making as many jokes in this video. I'm trying to parse out exactly what the intent behind this would be, because we already have a MiSTer FPGA, we already have a MiSTer Pi, we already have a QM Tech board. Obviously, we'd love to see something marked Super Sega in front of the camera, but again, nothing quite adds up, nothing makes sense, even including the Heber MiSTer Multi-System board in the email press release that went out. But we got Uncle Alejandro, the Salvador Dali of FPGA, back in the Lamborghini, so clearly he hasn't sold it yet, and he's going to do some amazing key spinning moves here, and he's got on this definite Tony Montana Scarface 80s white suit, and you know he looks prim and proper, trimmed and ready to sell you something for sure. But again, it's interesting that this is changing. I thought we would kind of see in the end of this, things did quiet down, and he talks about having refunded almost everyone except for like 5 to 10 people. Now unfortunately, the people I knew that did pre-order the console have not responded to me yet about whether or not they've received a refund in like the last 7 to 10 days, but I do know one other person who is making videos on the subject that did receive a refund, but it's impossible to say if they received a refund because he refunded everyone, or if he received a refund because he is a YouTuber who purchased it to see what was going on. So I really can't kind of come down on either side of the fence on that one. I can just give you the information the best that's available to me, and then try to kind of pick it apart. You'll see here he's even trying to tell people to contact him if he didn't get a refund, and he's selling that phone number for 333,000 euros. But here's what Alejandro himself has to say about the subject.
But I'm here to show you, to tell you a few news about Super Sega, what's going on. Pero estoy aquí para comentaros un poco las noticias frescas y lo que va a venir de Super Sega. ¿Os lo queráis o no? Sois libres de opinar y de pensar y de publicar y hacer lo que queráis.
And just so you know, I did everything I could to clean up the audio quality there, but it is just muffly, it is just echoey, but he has a lot of interesting things to talk about in this video, and actually provides some technical details that checks out as being accurate and correct, which surprised the ever-loving hell out of me, but here's a little bit more of it.
As looking at the Sega request for us to cut off, to destroy all the machines, visto lo que pasó, and looking about that 600 euros.
See, the problem with Uncle Alejandro here is that every time he gives us details, it seems to contradict something else he's stated. He said that Sega was trying to get him to destroy everything, then he said that Sega approved it and he should report employees for harassment to Sega, so it's an impossibility to parse these statements together. He's basically playing 3-card Monte or shell game with details, and it doesn't matter whether or not you follow along. In the end, you're going to be a loser because it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But we're going to go back to Alejandro and his own statements on the matter, because it's easier for me to let him speak and then explain what I think he means than it is for me to explain it without you hearing it. So here's a little bit more of the man of the hour.
The intent is to be open source, so we can release the code from our consoles made from Super Sega FPGA, the full console that was never released. And partially some games will use emulation like Dreamcast, because I will tell you that this chipset will be not capable as of the first release of run course FPGA from Dreamcast, and who knows that Saturn.
I mean, holy shit, that was a technically accurate detail. In fact, the Dreamcast cannot run on the MiSTer FPGA Cyclone 5. It's not going to be able to have enough logic elements. It's not going to be able to run the CPU at full speed. So he's saying that this new device would run Dreamcast on the ARM cores inside of the Cyclone 5. And even though that's easy information to research, it is in fact a verifiable true statement from Super Sega FPGA. But let's hear a little bit more.
Yeah, it's difficult for us. Es difícil para nosotros, visto todo lo que ha pasado. As long as the things have been passed away, passed in the past. But we will try again. Now the target, the goal is to have, say, 10, 20 units of our demos to be released and sent out to popular YouTubers like, you know, Game Esoterica, LG85, Spinecard, ALT Games, and so on.
I mean, I understand that they have some credibility issues, but Uncle Alejandro's worst enemy because everything he says makes no sense whatsoever. But you know I love reviewing hardware on the channel, and I feel like I'm always very accurate and fair about the shortcomings or actual successes of hardware. I love reviewing things. I love giving you guys the information that then you can go out and make an informed decision as to what you want to spend your money on. If I review something and say it's great and it's garbage, my credibility goes into the shitter and no one's ever going to believe me anymore. And honestly, the number one thing I really care about, other than talking about fun games, is for you, the viewer, to believe that when I say something, it is technically accurate and it is true. I never receive anything monetarily for reviewing hardware. I always have free reign to tell you whether or not it's good, to recommend it or not recommend it. But if Alejandro wants to send me a demo unit, I will take it apart on camera, I will test it, I will run it, I will see what it does, and I will give you that accurate and correct information without any of the jokes as far as the Super Sega Trap House video game saga are concerned, because that would be honestly my quote-unquote duty, because if I'm going to review hardware, I review the hardware. It's kind of the idea of separating the art from the artist in the art world. Some very bad people make some fundamentally amazing art, and you have to talk about them separately. I'm not saying Alejandro is bad, I'm saying he's hilarious and funny, and that Uncle Alejandro status. But one more bit of his voiceover, because I want you to hear what he has to say.
And then if still many people believe in us, as we know that many people lost his belief in us, then our goal is to release this cheaper console, more accessible, more affordable, una consola más accesible, más to be open source, so that any third parties can develop like they do it now for MiSTer FPGA. So say like for mini Super Sega, Super Console, Super FPGA, or whatever you want to name it, okay? We refunded almost all the money. Hemos devuelto casi todo el dinero. Unas 10 personas no lo han recuperado todavía.
Now I'm working on trying to verify whether or not these people actually received refunds, and even though I've been dragging the entire refund process, if I'm able to find out that every person I know that pre-ordered a Super Sega has in fact gotten their money back eventually, I will tell you that on the channel. I'm not hiding anything. I'm not trying to build a narrative where there isn't one. I'm just having fun talking about the absolute chaos that is Super Sega FPGA. But hot holy shit hell, if he actually sends me one of these things to review, I want to do it. So Alejandro, I'm sure you watch these. Send me something. I will tell everyone the exact truth about what's in the box and what it does, and of course what it doesn't do as well. The same thing that I would do on any single review. Do the pros, do the cons, talk about it, and say whether or not on a technical level it is successful. Now, does that mean if I receive something I would recommend you buy it? Certainly not. There'd have to be a lot more track record of reliability behind the project before I could say something like that. But I definitely want to review this thing, so Alejandro, if you're listening, send me one and we'll get it going. But I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.